That cabin over there. Don't even think about setting foot inside, unless you feel like running a gauntlet. That was the first thing I learned when I pulled up in my beat-up moving truck, exhausted and sunburned, and met Margaret Sterling, president of the HOA, and, by the look in her eyes, queen of the lake. She's standing dead center in the road, phone glued to her ear, practically daring me to step onto my own property. And you know what? I'd worked my whole life for that little slice of heaven. 62 years old, retired from 30 years as a federal judge, finally getting a chance to slow down, write my memoirs, maybe teach my granddaughter, Emily, how to fish. But not 5 minutes later, sirens explode through the air, 3 squad cars, lights spinning, like I'd tried to rob the place. I'm thinking, is this really happening? Margaret jabs her finger and tells the cops, he's the intruder. That's when I pull out my paperwork. The first officer, Martinez, just freezes, like someone dumped a bucket of ice water down his back. Then I see recognition cross his face. Judge Cole? He whispers, as if I'm some ghost from his past. Margaret's expression drops like she's just realized she picked the wrong guy for her morning power trip. Suddenly, the authority she's been clinging to starts unraveling. You see, 5 years back, I presided over a corruption case that blew open a drug ring in the sheriff's department. Martinez was the guy who risked everything to testify. My ruling cleared his name, got him promoted, probably saved his career. Now, standing in front of my new cabin, he's looking at me like I walked on water. Margaret, on the other hand, starts losing her cool. She mutters about mistakes and community standards, but the edge in her voice is gone. Her fingers tap out a nervous little Morse code on her phone. That's when Tom Bradley ambles over. Old-timer from the blue cabin next door, leathery handshake, wry grin. "Welcome to the neighborhood," he says. "Seems you got the full tour." He nods at the lake. Tells me folks say there's something special about the water. Minerals, maybe, or just old wives' tales. But the way Margaret glares at him, I get the feeling it's more than folklore. Martinez checks my paperwork, every page, deed, purchase agreement, title insurance, until he finally says, everything's legit. This is Judge Cole's property. The other officers back off. Margaret's face cycles through about 7 emotions: confusion, frustration, and finally, this cold, dangerous calculation. She leans in close to Martinez and says, I run this community. I decide who belongs here. You know who signs those security checks. Her voice has that quiet, mafioso menace you hear in bad gangster movies. Martinez hands my documents back, but I can see he's rattled. That's when I realize this peaceful lakeside retreat is a powder keg, and Margaret's holding the match. The next morning, Emily finally wakes up, stretching out from the long cross-country drive. We barely have time to unpack before trouble finds us again. Emily's exploring the lake, and suddenly, 3 teenagers surround her, mocking, shoving, telling her and her old man they're not welcome. I hear her calling for help, drop the box I'm carrying, and sprint to the shore. It's not just random bullying. This is organized. Margaret floats over, all faux concern, wrapping her arm around Emily, squeezing just a little too tight. Children can be so unpredictable around water, she purrs, eyes locking on me. Accidents happen. That night, Margaret shows up at our porch, clipboard in hand, looking like she's about to deliver a death sentence or a publisher's clearinghouse check. Could go either way. She tells me how she was once the victim, lost her first home to a ruthless HOA president, had to rebuild from scratch, swore she'd never be powerless again. It's not a threat, not exactly. It's a recruitment pitch. Work with me, your granddaughter stays safe. Oppose me. Well, you get the idea. Now, let me back up a sec, because when Margaret walked away that night, making a call I wasn't meant to overhear, I knew this was bigger than turf wars. So I did what any half-decent judge would do. I investigated. Late-night searches turn up reports of rare earth minerals under our lake, stuff that's worth serious money to the right or wrong people. Then, I see Margaret meeting some suit in a black SUV. Envelope changes hands. The man's got corporate plates, expensive watch, doesn't fit the local scene. The next morning, we get our first HOA violation. Emily's bike improperly parked, $500 fine. I don't get mad. I get even. Draft up a legal response citing federal privacy laws. Warn her about photographing minors. Demand HOA financial records. I hand-deliver it. Margaret's hands tremble. That night, all 4 tires on my truck are slashed. Emily finds a note. Last warning. Think about your granddaughter. That's when something in me snaps. I promise Emily she's safe. But deep down, I'm preparing for Ward AT the next HOA meeting. Held in a barn that smells like regret, I confront Margaret. She's pushing an $8,000 security assessment. I challenge her, cite Colorado law, demand specifics. She crumbles. The crowd murmurs. Sarah Whitmore, a real estate attorney, slips me a note. Evidence of embezzlement, 2 years of records. She's been documenting Margaret's fake company, Lake Management LLC, $200,000 stolen. Now we're allies. 3 days later, someone plants drugs in my garage. An anonymous tip, squad cars, Margaret watching like a vulture. But I've got security footage. Show it to Martinez. Cops breaking in, planting evidence. The script flips. Now Margaret's facing a criminal conspiracy investigation. Meanwhile, Emily's been watching Margaret and catches her on video exchanging cash with that same corporate suit. Daniel Sterling, Senior VP at Heritage Development, and, surprise, Margaret's own son-in-law. Heritage specializes in buying up distressed properties, always after problems drive owners to sell. Turns out Tom Bradley, my neighbor, once worked for Heritage. He hands me geological reports confirming what's under the lake. Hundreds of millions in rare earth minerals. The whole picture snaps into focus. Margaret's pushing families out so her family can cash in on the land. AT the next emergency HOA meeting, I lay out the evidence. Embezzlement, fraud, the mineral scheme, the connections to Heritage and Blackstone Mining, the real puppet masters. Sarah stands with me. Daniel bursts in, throws Margaret under the bus, admits she demanded 60% of profits, wanted everyone evicted. The crowd explodes. Helen, the tulip lady who got fined for planting the wrong color, leads a chant. Throw her out. A unanimous vote removes Margaret. And then, icing on the cake, the FBI walks in. Agent Rodriguez arrests Margaret and Daniel for fraud, conspiracy, money laundering, and violating interstate commerce laws. 6 months later, Margaret's in federal prison. Daniel cuts a deal, testifies against Blackstone. The mining company is busted, fined, and banned. Every family in the community gets a $1 million+ payout from the mineral rights, and those forced to sell are brought home with compensation. We abolish the old HOA, create a community council, transparent, democratic, with real oversight. Emily, once terrified, is now a local hero. Full scholarship, runs a YouTube channel called Lake Justice, teaching others how to fight back. Our little cabin becomes a hub for legal advice. Neighbors drop by for help instead of harassment, and Tom finally finds peace, ensuring mining is done right. Some nights, I stand with Emily by the lake, the water glowing blue in the sunset, and she asks, "Do you think we actually changed the world?" And I tell her, changing one community at a time is exactly how the world gets changed. Now, if you ever doubted that justice can win, or that one family can take down a corrupt system, well, you know what I mean. If you've got stories about fighting back, or if you think HOA power's ever gone too far, drop your thoughts below. Tell us what justice means to you. And hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story. Because sometimes, the only way to beat a bully is to stand up and never back down.